Right, let's get the ball rolling. 9:30, 1st of April. Happy April Fool's Day, everyone. I wonder if you've been caught by an April Fool's joke this morning. But like I said, I hope that you're very, very well. And thank you so much for taking out the time on this Thursday morning. Not the best time of the month to do a training session, but this was kind of just a spur of the moment thought for me last week. And I thought, let's chat about measuring our business, measuring how we spend our time in our business as we are now into the second quarter of this calendar year, 1st of April. We have the first quarter behind us. We have the financial year for Harcourts behind us. And I think it's an opportune time to look at a tool, to look at the use of a tool that we have available, that we can measure our focus on the really important tasks and activities in our business. And that is what the big rocks are about. And that is what the balance wheel is about. And that's what our discussion, our conversation of this morning is about. Right, so I hope that you're going to find this insightful. And this session is recorded, so you'll be able to rewatch it afterwards or share it with anyone that you so wish. I am sure that all of you are familiar with the concept of the big rocks. And the container that we see on the screen, you know, is the time that we all have. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 7 days in a week. And the question is how can we be as effective with our time? How can we spend our time in the best possible way? And how can we prioritize tasks and important things in our life and in our business so that we can really, really live the life that we want to live, manage the business, conduct the business that we want, and all those important things that we really want to achieve in life, right? So today's conversation is really going to be about our business, but the big rocks extends across our lives, where we know that we have all the different aspects of our lives that also come into play. But again, this is just going to really focus primarily on our business. Now, Stephen Covey said that if the big rocks don't go in first, in other words, if we don't make time go in, meaning allocating time for those big rocks that aren't going to fit later, because we know that we often fill our jars, our time, with the not so important stuff. You know, things that really just takes up our time. It's the craziness and all those things. And later on, we try and fit the important things in, and then there's no time for it. Be it your exercise, be it the time that you want to spend on acquiring a new skill, maybe learning to play the piano or the guitar or whatever it might be for you, is we often find that there is no time to do those things. And it really comes down to the question, how well do we plan our days? Or let's rather say, how well do we plan our weeks? How well do we plan our days, and how do we allocate our time? So I'm sure that you're, like I said, all familiar with this concept, but there is so much on the web. If you go onto YouTube and you just search for the keywords big rocks, you will come across so many videos, and it really is inspiring to hear all of the world's leading authorities on time management, self-leadership, and all those things speak about the importance of prioritizing the important things in our life and adding those to our jar first. If you fill your jar with gravel and sand first, you won't have space for your big rocks. So again, as we've said, so critically important, isn't it, to strategize and plan. We know that our business as real estate professionals and our success as real estate professionals rely heavily on how we strategize, how we think, how creatively we think of opportunities in your farming area, opportunities in your business, to make the time to think of those opportunities and then to put it into a plan, to put it into tasks and activities. So strategizing and planning, critically important in our businesses. That is then strategizing and planning for a whole year. It is strategizing and planning, let's say, for the next 6 months. It is strategizing and planning for this quarter that we're in. The question is what are you planning in your business for April, May, June? If you come to the end of June this year, and you reflect back on this past quarter, or sorry, this quarter that we're entering now, where would you like your business to be in? And if you don't strategize now, and you don't identify the opportunities and the things that you want to make happen in your business, you're going to get to the end of June. And unfortunately, we know it's most likely that it didn't happen for you in your business. So we've got to take the time out to strategize and plan. And then we break it down to per month, per week, per day. And in all of that, we have to prioritize. We have to understand that, and I know I'm stating the obvious, I know that this is nothing new. I know that you have heard this many, many, many times before. But as I speak to our colleagues, as I speak to our consultants in the offices around the country, one of the things that I often hear is that it's so difficult to plan in our business because it never works out that way. We know that our business is so unpredictable. We know that our days are so unpredictable. We're often at the beck and call of our client, whether it's a buyer that wants to go and view a property, or a seller that wants you to come and view, visit their property, or your manager or an administrator from the office requiring something from you. You are just pulled in so many different directions. And we find that so many of our industry professionals then shy away from planning, because why would I plan if it never works out that way anyway? And unfortunately, that is a major mistake that we make, is we start with no plan and then we just derail completely. I don't know if you can identify with that. It is much better to start with a plan, at least have a plan, have a structure, have a guideline, have a roadmap. And if you do divert from that roadmap, then at least it's something to refocus you, to bring you back on track, to remind you of what are the things that I need to look at, to remind you of the things that I need to focus on for me to take my business forward, and to remain consistent, to keep the consistency going. So in all of that, we have to commit to prioritizing. What is it that you need to do yourself? What is it that you can delegate to someone else? What is it that you can say no to? What is it that would not make any difference in your business if you say no to that? What is it that you can automate? Is there anything that you can automate in your business to save time? So I think really the important thing is to sit and consider each and every activity that you do on a daily basis, and ask yourself the tough questions, as I've just mentioned to you. I don't want to repeat myself. But what is our challenge? And I have just alluded to that. If we were sitting in let's say in a training room, and we could have a conversation, then I would have loved to hear what you say, what your challenges are. So this is unfortunately now a webinar, so it's very much a one-way conversation. So if you don't mind, I'm going to flip over to the next screen, and I'm going to predict what you're going to say. But there are obviously, we have many challenges. We have a multitude of challenges, but I think one of the big challenges is we do have a craziness overload in our business. Our business as real estate professionals is such a diverse and multitude of tasks and things that we need to focus on a daily basis. And it's just this crazy environment, and so many things that we do not have control over. Absolutely. Absolutely. We know that there are so many things that we do not have control over. But can we say that at least we should try and take control of the things that we do have control over? And that is then, obviously, as I've said, to strategize and to plan as best, to strategize, plan, and prioritize as best we can. So on the screen, I've said, we often plan and prioritize poorly, or sometimes not at all. And in the craziness of this industry, we allow the urgent things to take over the important things. And the important things are those big rocks that we're going to be spending time on today. But we often so run after the urgent things because things are urgent. And then we forget that we need to spend time on prospecting, lead generation. And so many of the important things fall by the wayside. And we are almost like a dog chasing its own tail, and we fly by the seat of our pants. And it just becomes this whirlwind in our heads, and the stress levels build up, and we feel totally out of control, and our heads feel completely filled and overflowing with craziness because we're not taking control as best we could of our days. And again, I just want to say again, we know it's not a perfect world, and we know that we cannot always control everything. Again, there's so much out of our control, but at least let's try and take control of the planning, prioritizing, and strategizing as best we can. So, friends, this morning, let's keep calm and let's give ourselves over to self-evaluation. Self-evaluation. And I emailed you, for those of you that did receive my email, there was an attachment with a A4 printout of the big rocks. I'm just going to jump out of this presentation quickly. Let me see here. This is what it looked like. Where do I have, this is what I emailed you. So if you are sitting there this morning and you did not print out this balance wheel with these 8 big rocks, then I would like to ask you to take a blank piece of paper, just draw a big nice circle on that blank piece of paper, and allow for 8 pies, 8 sections in that balance wheel. And we're going to go through those 8 sections as we discussed it this morning. So, so make a nice big circle on your blank piece of paper if you don't have this printed, and then we will work through this. Right. Let me get back to my PowerPoint presentation. The first big rock that we want to make sure that we put into our balance wheel is planning and prioritizing. That can be strategizing, planning, and prioritizing, but there's not much space to write in that little segment. So just put in planning and prioritizing. And what I would like to ask you to do this morning is to to reflect on how well you have done on strategizing, planning, and prioritizing in your business. You as a sales professional, think of the period from the 1st of January till now, the end of March. And how did you do on planning and prioritizing? How did you commit on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, to strategize and plan and prioritize in your business, and give yourself a score from 0 to 5. Now, for those of you that have never worked with a balance wheel, on the screen you will see that I have a 0 in the middle of the screen. There's a little 5, let's say halfway up, and then we have a 10 on the outer rim. So if you did unbelievably well, you could not do better, you would score yourself a 10 out of 10 for strategizing, planning, and prioritizing. A 0 would obviously be, I sucked at planning and prioritizing. I was terrible. I did not do anything at all. And obviously anything in between would be where you see yourself. But the trick with this is you got to be honest with yourself, because there's no purpose. You're not going to fool anyone by measuring or rating yourself at a level that is not true, because we want takeaways from this. You know, you want to look at your balance wheel in the end, and you want to ask yourself certain questions. Where do I need to improve? Where is room for improvement in my business? So honest self-reflection on the last quarter is going to be very important. So take 5 seconds and think, and make a little circle, not a circle, but just a little bend, as you would see on the screen where I have that red line, and rate yourself on planning and prioritizing between 0 and 10. How are we for time? 9:45. Can you believe it? Time flies when we're having fun. Friends, let's move over to the second big rock. The second big rock in our business, without a doubt, and arguably the most important activity on a daily basis in your business, is to prospect and to generate leads. To prospect for new listings and to generate leads in your business. Leads that can take you to listings, because we know that stock is king. He who controls the stock controls the market. Without stock, you have no business. We understand all these things. So critically important to have listings in your business. And those listings obviously have to come from somewhere. and we engage in prospecting and lead generation activities on a daily basis, and there's a multitude of those. Just generally speaking, how well did you do on prospecting and lead generation in the past quarter, from January till now, the end of March? And again, rate yourself from between 0 and 10, and again, make that indication there in that little section of the balance wheel. I'm just giving you a second or two to do that before I move on to the third big rock. Right. Obviously, you'll be able to spend more time on this after the session, so I'm not going to spend too much time on each of these big rocks, but I just want to talk you through what the different elements are. Another activity another big rock that requires our daily focus and daily time is listing new mandates or listing new properties in our business. You have to have the time on a daily basis to go out and view a new property, meet with a homeowner, meet with a landlord, and bring those listings into your business. Surely we'll agree that you've got to make time in your daily and your weekly planning to list those new properties. And how well did you do in the past quarter compared to your aim or your goal of the number of new mandates that you wanted to list in this past quarter? Let's say your aim is an average of 5 per month. You wanted to list 15 in the past quarter. How did you rate in terms of your own goals in the past quarter? And again, rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10 in that section of the balance wheel. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat box. I can have a look at it very quickly, and I can try and answer your questions as we go along. I don't see any questions right now in the chat window. You're also welcome to email me afterwards or phone me. We can have a chat. Absolutely. I would love to talk to you about all of this. If you want to give me a call afterwards or send me an email. I'm just going to pop my email while you guys thinking. I'm just going to pop my email into the chat box for those of you that don't have my email address. Email address is kobus.low@harcourtsa.co.za. Right. So that is that section of the balance wheel, listing new mandates. Then the fourth big rock that we need to make time for on a daily basis is managing our listings, managing our mandates. And this includes everything that we do in terms of managing that mandate. It talks about the quality of our description of that property, the quality of our photos. Is there video on that mandate? How are we advertising that property? Are we just pushing it through to the portals like P24 and private property? Or are we also doing social media advertising on it? Are we doing digital marketing on that mandate? How are we giving feedback to our sellers? How are we giving feedback to our landlords? Everything that falls under the umbrella of managing that mandate would like I said, would require your time and your daily focus. So won't you please measure yourself and rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10 on managing your listings in the past quarter, please? Right, I'm going to move on to the sixth one. Sorry, this is the fifth one. And this is working with our buyers and our tenants. We know that we have an opportunity to really, really impress on our buyers and our tenants, but there are also critical things that we need to consider when we work with our buyers and our tenants, and that is not to waste our time, because our time is so valuable, and every hour that you spend with a buyer or a tenant, unnecessarily you could have spent that hour on prospecting and generating more leads. So if you just consider everything that you can do with your buyers and your tenants, and everything that you have done, and your daily focus on working with your buyers and your tenants, where would you rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10 in the past quarter? That obviously includes also when we work with our buyers to pre-qualify them, to make sure that they have the necessary finance in place, or that they have the means to purchase the property. You do not want to spend hours with a buyer or days with a buyer, and in the end, they do not have the necessary finance. So there's a lot that goes on with buyers and tenants. Right, friends. So the next one is managing our sales and our rentals. Once you've done a sale, or you have a pipeline of sales in your office, and the same applies to rentals, and we're concluding those agreements, and we are making contact, possibly your administrator in the office making contact with the conveyancers and the COC guys, etc. How involved are you in the process? How is your communication with your clients, with your sellers and your buyers? Do you keep them informed? Are you continuing that fantastic, that wow experience that you have started out when you listed the property? Are you pulling that through in the after sales service when you manage those sales and those rentals? Because that requires time and requires focus. And that has to be a big rock that goes into my weekly planning, because I need to put time aside to manage my sales and my rentals. So for those of you that have been in the business for quite some time, and why I say that is some of you that are interns right now have not done any sales or rentals, so you can't measure yourself. But if you have done sales or rentals, measure yourself on a scale from 0 to 10 on that big rock, please. How focused have you been on that? Have you applied the necessary time? How well have you done on managing your sales and your rentals in the past quarter? Right, then I would like to move on to the next big rock. We understand the importance of personal promotion in your business. Critically important, because obviously that ties in with your prospecting and your lead generation. People do business with people. It's all about building relationships. It's all about putting your brand promise, your personal brand promise out there, creating top of mind awareness. All of those things, creating the impression that you are the go-to agent in your area. So everything that you can do in your business to promote your own personal profile. How well have you done on all the different possible platforms that are available to you in the past quarter? And again, rate yourself there on a scale on 0 to 10, please, on personal promotion. While you're thinking of that, the reason why it's a big rock is, again, it requires our weekly and our daily focus and attention to allow the necessary time to do personal promotion. And it's one thing to post a Facebook ad of a new listing that you have, but is that really doing personal promotion? It's part of personal promotion, but personal promotion is extending your engagement with your audience and with your network and with your database around many different aspects of what your profile as a real estate professional is. It is not only showing the new listings that you have and the properties that you've sold. It's really positioning your profile to show that you are the ultimate real estate professional with the knowledge and the skills that you have, the care for your community, your involvement in your community, and all those things that go with that. Right, you get the idea. But again, big rock, because it requires focus and time. It can't just be an afterthought. Then the last big rock that I would like to mention to you is sharpening the saw. On the printout that you have, it says skills development, learning and skills development. But I do believe that learning and skills development is a subsection of sharpening the saw, because we will look at sharpening this a little bit more detail on sharpening the saw just now. But if you consider your weeks and your days, are you spending the necessary time on looking after yourself, your health, your spiritual wellness, your family, your learning in your business? Are you acquiring new skills? Are you putting the time aside to learn new things? We know that there is an unbelievable multitude of new things that we have to learn every day. It's such a fast-moving environment with new tech skills, new social media skills that we need to have. things that we need to learn on H1. There's the Poppy Act coming through. You know, it just never stops. We just need to stay abreast of all the things, and that requires time. That requires time. So friends, if we consider this balance wheel and we look at these 8 big rocks, I think the question that we need to ask ourselves, and the questions that I want to encourage you as you are listening in today, what I want to encourage you to ask yourself is, am I, as I plan my week, as I strategize my week and my days, am I allowing the necessary time for these 8 big rocks in my weekly planning? And am I executing well on them? Guys, if you raise your hand, I'm going to ask you to rather pop a question into the chat window, because I cannot open your microphone. So I cannot engage with you if you raise your hand, or otherwise you might be saying, yes, I am doing well. So that's brilliant. But you're welcome to pop a question into the chat box. But you will notice on the balance wheel, there is no indication of how much money did I earn. There is no indication of how many properties did I sell. Because the thing is here we want to measure our time and how well we spend our time. How well do we plan? Because if we do these things exceptionally well, we will sell a lot of properties and you will be making a lot of money. There's no question about it. If you plan well, if you prospect and generate leads, if you bring a lot of new quality listings into your business, if you manage those listings well, your business is going to fly. There's no question about it. And so I can go on to the other elements of these big rocks. I think we'll all agree on that. So this is really just to look at what are the building blocks of how I allocate my time to get to a point where I sell a lot of property, or I let a lot of property, and I, in the process, earn a really good income from my profession as a real estate professional. You get the picture. Again, I know that many of you are familiar with the balance wheel. So how well did you do? If we consider, let's say, a example of a balance wheel that you see on the screen, then this could be an agent's balance wheel as they have measured themselves. And as you can see, this wheel is kind of out of balance. Would you agree? And I don't know if your wheel is in balance, if you are really, really happy with your wheel, as you have now indicated in the 8 sections of that wheel, how you score yourself. Maybe your wheel is turning beautifully. Well done, well done, well done. But if your wheel is like crooked and it looks like this wheel on the screen, your wheel might not be turning as well as you want it to turn and as well as it should be turning, because unfortunately, what's going to happen is you're going to see it in your bank account. That is the sad reality. There is no way that you can be a top producing, successful sales or rental professional if you plan poorly, if you prospect and generate leads poorly, if you don't bring enough listings into your business, then your business is not going to fly. You might be lucky and things might come your way, but the consistency in your income and the longevity of your business is not going to be where it should be, where you want it to be. So as you can see on the screen, there are certain sections that this agent scored rather low, which includes planning and prioritizing, as well as sharpening the saw. Prospecting and lead generation was also on the low side. Then on the medium side was listing new mandates, personal promotion, and buyer and tenant activity. This agent felt that they did about 5 out of 10 on those. And on managing mandates and managing sales and rentals, this agent felt that they did quite well, scoring themselves about an 8 out of 10 on both of those big rocks. You know, so this might be a person that is very strong on admin. They like to manage those listings and spend a lot of time in the office and maybe not out there, shy away a little bit from making those cold calls, doing the necessary prospecting lead generation, also hate to plan and prioritize. And anyway, we can analyze this wheel, but this is just an example. So you will have your wheel obviously in front of you. And the important thing today is for you to consider your wheel, or when you're going to complete the self-reflection and measuring of your 8 big rocks, the question is you're going to ask yourself is, how well did I do? But friends, here's the trick now, is after I've done the self-reflection and after I'm creating awareness for myself on how well did I do in the past quarter on these 8 big rocks, the question is, what we're going to ask is, now what? What do we do now? And we know that there's room for improvement. There's possibly an urgent need for improvement. There's an urgent need for urgent improvement. But we do know that we cannot improve on all aspects of our business all at once. That is just not possible for you to take each and every section of the 8 big rocks, or let's rather say each and every one of those 8 big rocks, and take them from a 3 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. That is just not possible. So what we would like to propose is that you identify the 3 high priority improvement areas in your business as you consider your balance wheel, and you look at where you really measured low, and you think of those high priority improvement areas. Could you possibly pick the 3 most important ones for you that you would like to improve over the next quarter? And why I say the next quarter is because now we're going to look at what is it that we can do in each of these sections of our business to take me from a 3 out of 5 to, let's say, a 5 out of 5. That is what I would like to do in the next quarter. If I can then go into the second half of this year, and if I look on the screen, if you can just look at my balance wheel and you look at planning and prioritizing, there I'm looking to take planning and prioritizing from a 3 out of 5 to a 5 out of 5. Remember, this is a fictitious balance wheel just to show you the reasoning behind it. But we want to take planning and prioritizing from a 3 to a 5 because I understand the critical importance of planning and prioritizing and strategizing in my business. And then you got to ask yourself, so what are all the things that I can do in the next month, the next 2 months, the next 3 months to really improve on my commitment and my tasks around strategizing, planning, and prioritizing. And the same goes for prospecting, lead generation, as you see on the screen. And the same goes to sharpening the saw. Those are the 3 areas that this agent decided that he wants to improve on in his business in the next quarter. And this agent wants to take it just that little step up from a 3 to a 5 or a 4 to a 6. You get the idea. The others, obviously, we will continue to focus on. At least we're creating awareness now. We're creating awareness that I'm only halfway with my listing new mandates. If I wanted to list 15, I only brought 5 listings into my business. That is way lower than what I need in my business. I'm going to starve of starvation if I don't bring the required listings into my business. But if I believe that if I plan well, if I prospect and generate better leads, I will get more listings into my business. Okay, anyway, guys, you get the idea. So this is then for the next quarter, but on the left of the screen, I said for the new month, because it's important now that we start with it right now, that we start with it now in the new month. You know, we're in April. How about you activating or you're actioning? That's the right word I'm looking for. You actioning. How about you action this today and get these things in place? And you have your balance wheel and you put it up in front where you work, and where you can remind yourself on a daily basis of these 8 very, very high important, not always that urgent, because this is the thing. These big rocks are the important things, but they're not always the urgent things. So often we do not prospect and generate leads just because we might have planned it, but now an urgent thing's come in its way. There's a buyer that needs to see your property today. They flew down from Johannesburg and they're in Hermanus, and they say to you, I need to see properties at 11 o'clock this morning. You were planning on prospecting from 10 till 12, but now that comes in the way. So we allow the urgent things to often take over the important things. So let's make sure that we identify the important areas that we want to improve, and we nail it as hard as we can in the next quarter from now until the end of June. And then this just goes on a monthly basis, and I'm going to get to that. But okay, let me not jump the gun. Let me continue to the next slide. So we got to improve. We got to improve on these aspects of our business. So if we just consider the three areas, I want to just show you how we look at possibilities and things that we can do to improve areas in our business. So if we look at strategizing, planning, and prioritizing, I'm sure that you are familiar with the concept of time blocking. And I don't know how well you commit to blocking time, but this is an example on the screen, again, that many of you might have seen, but it shows how this agent blocks her time. And again, it's just one of many examples that we can use to block our time. But let's work through what we see on the screen. And guys, I'm just going to take off my jacket because now I am getting a little hot here in Cape Town where I'm sitting and talking, and that's not going to help me a bit. So I'm getting all excited. Right, so time blocking. And this is to make time for the 8 big rocks. So the first big rock, which is strategizing, planning, and prioritizing, that big rock is ticked when we do something like this. But we actually would also like to see in this agent's daily schedule where they plan and where this agent prioritizes her activities. The second big rock is prospecting lead generation. And here we see on the screen that this agent allows for a few hours of prospecting and lead generation every week. So on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, this agent allows for 1 hour of prospecting and lead generation every day. It's not much. You will have to be a very successful agent if you only allow 1 hour of prospecting lead generation on a daily basis, because our business actually requires quite a bit more. Then other blocks of time that you see on the screen are in red. And if we can just look at that, these are the non-negotiables for this agent in their weekly planning. Those could be meetings, those could be training events that they have. It could be deadlines for ads or a show house at a property, etc. You can see on the screen that there are a few different red times blocked, and this agent cannot get out of those times. These are really, they're in red for a reason, because they got to be done, or not got to be done, but this agent cannot move them around. They are set cast in stone. Then we have on the screen also the blue areas, the blue time blocks. And as you can see, this person is really committed to exercise in the morning, exercising most mornings of the week, but then there's also personal time for hockey at school, rugby in Durban in the afternoon, a parent school meeting, barnyard theater on a Friday evening. You get the idea. So allocating personal, private time away from business, really just to feed the mind and the soul and your health and all those important things. And then the last but not least blocks of time in this time blocking are the yellow blocks. And this is where the agent allows time to work with buyers and sellers. This is a sales agent. If you're a rental agent, obviously it would be with your landlords and your tenants. But as you can see, these are really big blocks of time. On a Wednesday, this agent blocked out 9:30 till 5 o'clock. And anything can come. As this agent maybe sat down on a Sunday evening and planned the week, that agent allowed for the biggest chunk of Wednesday to work with buyers and sellers. That could be to meet a new seller at their home, to list a new property. It could be to take buyers out to a property. It could be to give feedback, to service that seller. All of those activities would then fall under working with my buyers and my sellers. You get the idea. As we can already see, on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock, there's already a seller valuation in La Lucia that this agent has already indicated there. There's a valuation at 12 Hopdale. We're not going to go into too much detail on a Thursday, but the idea is you obviously flesh it out and create more information and more detail in the weeks or in the days as you go along. But in the beginning of the week, as you are planning your week, you just want to block the times. You want to set the blocks of time out And then you start to prioritize as you're in the week, and you start to fill out all the activities in those different time blocks. You know, guys, I know that some of you are probably outstanding with your time blocking and your planning and your prioritizing. But we do find that this is an area that really often lacks in our businesses. So that's why I wanted to spend a little bit of time on that. Another activity or another area in the agent's business that we saw earlier that did not score well was prospecting and lead generation. So this agent wants to improve on their prospect and lead generation over the next quarter. And let's look at a few things that we can do here. So as far as prospect and lead generation goes, we can definitely network and work our database much better. You know, what are your strategies and your plans in working your network or networking into your database and creating leads from there? Properties on the market, speaking to homeowners that are already on the market, inquiring on the opportunity to be of service to them, inquiring on the status of mandates on those properties. But we know that homeowners that are currently selling, they have a need for an estate agent and they're already in the market. And we often refer to that as low-hanging fruit. We want to make sure that we speak to those homeowners. There is nothing wrong to speak to those homeowners that are on the market with other agencies. You have to speak to them, as you know. We cannot shy away from that. So I really want to encourage you to have those conversations, you know, to really have those conversations. Other prospecting activities is on social media. The importance of building relationships on social media is to befriend people, you know, make friends on social media, engage on them, follow people, make comments on things that they post, and really use social media, I believe, as a way to create more top of mind awareness, because social media has become such an important platform where we engage with people, and it has become very, very, very powerful. We also know that there are other levels on social media that you can really use to elevate your profile, to prospect and generate for leads, which is through your paid advertising channels on social media, on your Facebook and Instagram and other platforms, where you can be very, very strategic in prospecting for business in your farming area, but throwing out the net a little wider. And that is, like I said, from your business page through Facebook ads. And that is also quite straightforward to do. It just requires a little bit of skills development on that. And we have done training on that. Now, the prospecting, I know that you guys love cold calling. Isn't that just fantastic to make those phone calls to people that have never heard from you and that are actually not expecting a call from you? It is cold calling. I'm just using the word cold calling, but it's like really any call that we make. It could be warm calls. It could be any call that we make, and just under the umbrella of picking up the phone and speaking to people. We got to do it. It still remains the most effective means of communication is to speak to people. We know that we live in times where people are very private and they shy away from that type of engagement. We all get all these unsolicited calls on a daily basis. Our phones just ring off the hook from all these places. They just call us. But friends, we got to have a strategy where we pick up the phone and we call people. Warm calls can be made to people that know you. Those could be your circle of influence. People that when they hear your voice, they know it's you. You don't even have to say, hi, it's Kobus calling. And you speak to those people, you remind them that you're in the business, and you ask them if they can think of any person that they know that are looking to sell or buy or let a property right now. And if they could possibly refer those people to you. And that brings me to the next point of referrals. Because as we're making these calls to people, we got to ask if they know of any person looking to buy or sell property, or to rent a property. But yeah, just to try and generate referrals and leads from people that we know. So I want to encourage you, this is not a session today on talking about phone canvassing, but it really is to break up. Let's say you make 10 phone calls a day. It's important to make 10 phone calls every single day, the 20-mile march. Not make 50 calls today and for the next 2 weeks you don't make any call. It's just that consistency, 10 calls a day, and you just keep it going. But break it up. Have a few warm calls, have a few calls to people that you've never spoken to before, make a few phone calls to homeowners that are on the market. You get the idea. So in your office, there will be definitely a lot of people that you can share ideas with on how you break up, let's say, the 10 calls that you make every single day. Sure, friends, our time is running out. There's still so much that I want to say on cold calling, but or that one can say, but we're not going to have time for that. Another important thing, prospecting, is how many of you are still doing your 10 by 10 by 20s, where you drop a just listed pamphlet in a post box or a just sold in a post box, but the 10 by 10 by 20s strategically around a new listing, your new listing that has come onto the market in a farming area, where the surrounding homeowners can get your pamphlet, over a 2, 3, 4 week period, a 2 month period, where they frequently get a pamphlet into their post box. But now they see that you have a property listed in their street because your board is up there, and the dots are just starting to connect because they get your pamphlet, they see your board up, and who are they going to call if they have any real estate need? They're going to contact you. So very important, our 10 by 10 by 20s, and then just any other advertising that you can do to prospect for leads. That would be print advertising, that would be digital advertising. There is so much that we can do in the advertising space. So you get the idea. So if you scored yourself low on prospecting and lead generation over the past quarter, there is so much that you can do to take you to a higher level on prospecting and lead generation in the next quarter. Just go and think, what are the things that I can do that I need to improve on, and strategize on that and make that part of your daily planning. A last thing that I just want to touch on is sharpening the saw, which that agent also said they scored themselves low on. But sharpening the saw has different elements. It has a mental dimension where we want to look at our mind, what we read, what we acquire as new skills. It has a spiritual dimension when we look at our soul and possible meditation, keeping a journal, quality media, etc. Those types of things. Praying. Then there's also an emotional dimension where we look at our long-term relationships, giving service into our communities, just laughing, loving, all those elements. Are you spending enough time on that? Are you making that part of your weekly planning? And then your body, your physical dimension. Are you exercising, eating healthy, sleeping enough, resting and relaxing enough? So those are the elements of sharpening the saw. And if you feel that you need improvement on that, then think of all those different things that you can improve on, and that is possibly currently lacking in your life or in your business. So the question is when do we focus on all these things? And the answer is every damn day. We just got to do it. If you really think about it, we just got to do it. And what I want to encourage you is to believe in yourself. Really to believe in yourself and to connect with your why and your purpose on a daily basis, because that is going to pull you forward. If you have a purpose, if you have a passion for what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, and you have identified the things that you would like to work towards, acquire, save for, etc., that's almost like a magnet that pulls you forward to do these things and to allocate the necessary time on a weekly and a daily basis in your business. I also want to encourage you guys, sorry, not necessarily you guys, but if you find that you often go to places where you want to make excuses or justification, all those things, just stop the excuses. I really think it's important to take ownership, to look towards yourself and ask yourself honestly, how well am I applying myself? Am I really, really looking towards myself primarily and taking ownership of the things that I have control over? Or am I allowing things in my external environment to take control over, and I just find myself in a place where I'm making excuses? Work hard. That's the only way. It is the only way to get ahead in this business and to achieve the success that we want to achieve. Guys, stay focused. Every day, stay focused and have fun. Very, very, very important, those things. But we just got to do it. Just a few last thoughts is, how often should we reflect? If we consider this big rocks balance wheel, and we said that if you can have it up on your wall or somewhere where you work and where you can look at it regularly, use that balance wheel and take a fresh one, a blank one, and reflect on your business on a monthly basis. I honestly think that reflecting on your business on a monthly basis is critically important, because so much happens in a month. So much happens in a quarter. If we're only going to reflect on our business on a quarterly basis, we might fall so far behind. I know that you have your one-on-ones with your principals and your franchise owner, your managers, and you might be sitting with that person on a fortnightly basis or on a monthly basis. Really use those opportunities well to reflect on your business. But this is also for your own personal self-reflection and self-evaluation. You don't. I'm not saying that you do need to sit. I'm not saying that you should only reflect using the balance wheel when you sit with a manager or your principal. You can do this in your own time. Let's say at the end of the month or the beginning of any month, but on a monthly basis. It's also important for you to understand your process. For all of us, in all the work that we do, we got to understand what our process is, and it's just important for us to keep the process going. It's important to believe in your process, guys. Whatever that process is for you, it is just important to keep the process going. And if you know that there's success in that process, then believe in the process, because the process is going to deliver results. So what am I saying is, we're working towards a place where we can instill good habits to create a really, really good process in your business. And when we talk about habits, we know that habits create results. Good or bad habits always deliver results. Whether you are engaging in really good habits or really bad habits, they are going to deliver results. And we want to get to a point where we instill good habits in our business and in our lives, so that we can live the lives that we want to live. So I've alluded to that person in your business that you can sit down to reflect on your business, but who is your accountability partner? And it's so important, I believe, for you to have a constructive, close relationship with your accountability partner. Again, be it your principal in your office, your sales manager, but that person that can help you stay focused, help you strategize and plan and prioritize, so that you can make your balance wheel nice and balanced, and that your wheel can turn so that you can be the successful, outstanding real estate professional that you can be and that you want to be. Guys, I see that there are comments in the chat window. I'm going to get to that in a moment. Our time is up. But so I just want to get through my content, and I'm going to come to your questions that you're posting in the chat box just in a second. And ultimately, we know that consistency is critical to real estate success. What we are saying is we're talking about the big rocks, obviously, and our balance wheel. But in all of that, we've got to create the consistency to create the real estate success that we're looking for. So what are you going to do in your business in this month of April, May, and June to be more consistent on those critical big rock activities in your business? The consistency is going to take you to the point where you want to be and the success that you want to achieve in your business. So guys, with that, I want to say to you, thank you so very much for your time this morning. I'm going to pop over to the chat window. And while I do that, I apologize that we are 10 minutes over time. That was not part of the planning. I thought that I could do this in 45 minutes, but sorry, I'm just reading something here about a high performance planner. Okay, that's cool. But so I'm 10 minutes over time, and but I want to wish you guys all the best. You know, there are so many different tools that we can use. One of our colleagues just made a comment that that person uses a high performance planning tool. Absolutely, you know, there's no question. The Big Rocks balance wheel is one of probably thousands of tools that we can use. So whatever tool you use to measure your allocation of time in your business, go for it. The important thing is to self-evaluate and self-measure. It's your business, it's your life. We want for you nothing more than to be the very, very best and most professional real estate professional that you can be. That is what we want for you. That is what we want for Harcourts. And we're on this journey with you. So if there's anything that we can do to assist you further, please do not hesitate to contact me or any of our colleagues. We're absolutely here to help you. Guys, again, I want to extend to you the invite. If you want to chat to me afterwards, please give me a call. You'll find my details on H1, Cobus Low. And again, you're welcome to email me. Just one last thing very, very quickly before we run, if you don't mind, I do have a document that I can email to you. If you email me afterwards, it's possible strategies and tasks for sales and rental consultants. This is for planning and time management, prospect and lead generation, personal promotion, listing new mandates, managing your existing listings, etc., etc. So I will be more than happy. I'll be thrilled to email this to you if you just want to pop me an email afterwards. And with that, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks again so much for your time. Have a fantastic Thursday, the 1st of April. Look after yourself, and thanks so much for everything that you do for Harcourts and for our wonderful brand. Take care of yourself, guys. Cheers.